Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Dr. Abbas Ali, your orthopedics faculty with Marrow, and now we have Dr. Akshat Ayush with us, who has secured rank 4 in INI CET November 2021. The most fantabulous thing is that he's still pursuing his internship, and this is the first entrance exam for post-graduation in India that he has written, and he's got a single-digit rank. Akshat, how do you feel? How is everyone around you reacting to this news?
Like kind of rank 4 is something you don't expect you to get, right? This is the rank you expect others would get, right? You think कि मेरी 1000 आ जाएगी, 500 आ जाएगी, 100 आ जाएगी, 50 आ जाएगी, 4 तो उस बंदे की आएगी, मेरी थोड़ी आएगी. It's like that, right? So rank 4 is something just out of the blue. You can never expect a single digit rank for sure.
Rank 4 kaisi aa jayegi? I mean, this is something that I'm sure that not even the toppers would expect such a rank, but
Yeah,
there is definitely something right that you have done, that you've got this rank. It's no fluke, this is no chance, it's definitely something that you have done right, and that's what we are going to find out today, and try to inspire the juniors to get something like this out of fluke if you think so. So Dr. Akshat, just tell us how you used Marrow, and what was Marrow's role in your preparation to get such a rank.
I use Marrow mostly. The videos and the notes were the main thing for me. Like for me, I'm not a big fan of videos. I think at that point of time, I can read it myself and I would get it right. So the video is like I would watch it, then I have to revise it. So it's like twice the thing for me personally, right? So I would prefer notes over videos, but or sometimes which I cannot understand, I would watch the videos. But
So when you
majority
use the
notes.
videos, yeah, so when you use the videos, who are the faculties that obviously there are so many great faculties there, but you must have found a few ones that were you were influenced by or inspired by. Just because we are talking, don't feel pressurized to say my name. Anyone who you would like to mention as a teacher that you looked up to?
Yeah, I think Dr. Rohan Khandelwal was the thing. Look, that's the first Marrow video that I watched, and I liked it very much, and I continued it. Yeah, so that's the thing. Right, the teaching style was very good.
All right, awesome. Now, what about how many hours that you would spend with the notes or the videos per day using Marrow?
I mean, per day you cannot advise like in internship you cannot say that I can study 8 hours or 10 hours, right? Whatever time that you get after coming from wards or even if whatever you're doing, so that time was for this only.
So you made every minute count. Whenever you were back home, back in your room, you would just sit down and study the notes. Right. What about the question bank, Dr. Akshat? How would you approach the question bank on Marrow?
Honestly speaking, like I couldn't do even half the question bank when I was doing my first read. So there was no time for me, right? So after my first read and was revising, I used to do custom modules. So there's custom option in that molecule bank. So it just randomizes everything, and you can just click unanswered questions ko kar do. So it randomizes everything, and you can revise topics very easily in that. And that's how I completed the QQ bank.
Okay, so
And
most
custom
of
bank
your
you cannot
question
like
bank was approached randomly with the help of custom modules.
randomly. Majority was random.
So you did not go with a systematic approach कि ये chapter करना है या ये subject करना है, ऐसे नहीं गए थे आप.
Yeah, because even if you do that thing, like you read something and then you solve the questions, the things that are volatile, you can answer that point of time. But after 5 days, those are gone. So there's no point in doing that. So I used to study one thing and I used to switch to another subject and then do MCQ of the previous subject, like that.
Okay, so you would study one thing and do the questions of the other subject so that it is in
Yeah,
touch in, and you're essentially
yeah.
kind of
So
indirectly revising it.
yeah, so you'll not get a good score every Q bank. That's a bit depressing about it, but yeah, that's how you learn, right? So
So what about, I mean, in terms of numbers? I know you're not a person who would just put down numbers and say कि इतना करना है दिन में इतने मैंने किया है, but just a figure so people can understand how much is required. How many questions you would do from the question bank every day?
every day,
Yeah.
uh, like for example, like I used to do random questions, and I used to make a block of 10, and at least 6 or 7 every time. Like
Blocks.
if I came from like I was eating something and then I started studying. So you cannot start studying like this only. Like the momentum is gone. To get the momentum, I used to solve this question. So when I got the momentum, I stopped it and studied. So there was no pattern that छह करनी या सात करनी है.
So
Anything
roughly
whatever.
around 100 questions every day was something that you would do, or around 50?
More towards 50 side. 100 is just too much.
Yeah, so around 50 questions every day, because please understand that he had to juggle his internship while studying. Now, what about
Like 100
the question
questions, you
bank?
cannot revise those 100 questions, right? 100 questions is just too much. If you cannot review it, there's no point of doing it.
Right. So when you would do the question bank, say roughly 50 questions every day, what was your plan for revising them? You would go back to those because custom modules, they're random, they're generated
They're
randomly.
completely
How
random.
would
Yeah,
you revise the question bank then?
revise then and there only. Yeah, there's no separate time. If
So
you think here,
do the
I will
questions
do
and
it
then
two
revise
hours later.
and
Yeah, at the same point, if you think that you will revise it tomorrow, नहीं होगा वो, right? It doesn't
नहीं
happen
होगा.
that way.
Right. So questions किया and then तभी revise कर लिया उसको.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, what about your notes? I mean, you said that you are not a person who would write down a lot of notes. How was your
yeah. I'm
approach
not
for
that
notes?
person.
Because notes are essential. That is the place where your information is so that you can go and revise it. How would you maintain that?
I had a bit of strategy. Like I used to read something, and in the second revision that I came, I found out the pages that something like I cannot remember that even I studied this thing, right? I completely forgot about this thing, so I would just turn the page like that.
Okay,
So
you'll dog ear it.
out of dog ear it. So like 1,000 page of notes just came down to 100 at the last attempt, last point. So yeah, that's how I do
So,
it.
so
And
you'll add information from the question bank custom modules to the notes, or was the information already enough in the notes?
no, I definitely have to add something. You know, that's you do it.
So you kept on adding in the information to the notes to make it complete, and then when you revised it, the pages that you had forgotten, you would dog ear it and come back to it before the exam. Very good. Now, what about grant test, Dr. Akshat? What was your strategy with grant test? How many did you write? When did you start writing the grant test? And how did you review the answers of the grant test? These are the three questions I want you to answer about grant tests.
So I started my grant test in September first week. I gave my first grant test because that's the point. That was the time. Like till July, I was like it was pretty hectic. Like I was in my village internship, so it was pretty hectic. So I couldn't do it that point of time. So it started at September first week, and yeah, that point that's the first GT I gave, very bad rank. Uh, and then I revised it. Like for example, every week I used to give every weekly GTs. Right.
So you
So
used to give
Sundays were
grant test
duties.
weekly. You started in September.
September, like from I think October, I was weekly. September, I gave two.
Okay.
From
All right.
October,
Okay.
October I gave 4 5. Uh, September, I gave two. And whatever the time is, you just revise. Just you have to give some time to it, right? 50 questions a day or 10, 20 questions, whatever you can revise.
Right. So you would spread out the review of the grant test over the week.
Yeah, spread out.
Right, because sitting down and doing it like one after another would be tedious and boring.
It's very boring. Yeah. So I think 20 questions is just too much. Yeah.
So you would review all the correct questions also, or would you only review the wrong questions?
I would definitely review the correct questions, right? I know because see, this is the exam. You cannot get everything. Like you cannot learn everything. So there are some things that there was luck, right? You got this correct by luck. So those are the things that
So
because
you wouldn't want to rely on luck, so you would understand what
uh,
how you got it wrong, and or how you got it right, and the next time when the question is asked, you would actually know the right answer instead of just
because
guessing
the
it. Got
wrong
it.
questions is very difficult to the wrong questions you can make it correct, but correct questions there's a very high chance that you would make it wrong in the next test. So yeah,
Right, understood. Yeah, right. So that usually happens. You might get it right just because the options were very simple to rule out, or the question was very straightforward, but you lack the fundamental concept behind which the question is being
Hmm.
tested. So even if you got it right, just know why you got it right. That way you will reinforce that. Amazing, amazing. Now, what about your previous year questions? Now there is a module in the question bank. We have previous year questions. Did you go through them?
yeah, because there's I think 10 20 questions will be repeated every time, not the same thing but the main thing, like they repeat the same thing, right? So yeah, those are very
The topic is
everyone
repeated
should do it.
around.
Around the topic the options are repeated, something like that. Everything is repeated. A lot of things are repeated. Like a lot of my friends came out and like, yeah, इसमें बहुत repeat आया था. So it feels like that way that they repeat. Not the exact questions, the topics they do repeat.
Right. So, how was your? I know this is a different question, but how was your relationship with Maro in terms of using the app on your phone? I mean, I don't know. A lot of people use phones for entertainment, consuming social media and such. But now, essentially, we have an academical app on the phone. What was your relationship with Maro in terms of using and in terms of how to counteract distractions while studying on the phone?
Yeah, I used it in my phone because, like for example, I'm in the ward, right? Some JR told me, yeah, this MRI kara. You're standing outside MRI room like this, right? At that point of time, I used to take out my phone and do it, something like that. So Yeah.
So you utilized every minute of your internship. Instead of just waiting around and sulking, you would just open the Marrow app and read about it. What about the interface? Was it buggy? Was it laggy? Or was it smooth? What was your feeling?
The problem with phone is that the questions are just too big, so sometimes that's the main problem. But that's the problem with the size of the screen, not the platform. So yeah, it was okay.
So you felt the phone screen was small. That's why everything appeared small. Otherwise, the whole user interface was smooth and it was not laggy or buggy.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking this is because the tech team behind the app works really hard to make it very smooth. So if you have anything that you would want to say about that, they'll probably feel very happy about it.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Anyways, now coming to your revision, when did you start your revisions?
For revising, it's like I can say this thing like if you cannot revise a thing 2 or 3 times, there's no points of studying it, right? It's just too volatile. The subjects are just too volatile. So revision is the main thing for in this.
Yeah. So when did you
So I think
start your revisions?
I
After
started
finishing everything, or you started your revision as soon as you finished one subject or two subjects?
when I finished my first period of every subject, and then I started revising it. So I think at
Okay.
the
So
end of
roughly how
August, I
many
started from
revisions could you clock before the exam?
there. I couldn't do like for medicine. I couldn't do even. I think I did two. But yeah, for my main importance were like for minor subjects, right? Like medicine is like even if you don't study medicine, out of 20 you can get 14 correct. Studying it, you get 16 correct, right? And something like anesthesia, there's 6 questions. Like if you don't study, you get zero. If you study, you can get all 6 correct, right? So my main motives was minors and these subjects, right? So that was my main
So
motive.
you focus more on minor subjects and
Minors only.
volatile subjects to revise and to succeed, because conceptual questions you will definitely find a way to answer on the exam. Very lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, a good strategy. Right. Right. Finally, I would like to understand how was your reaction and how was your family reacting to this rank four? Because you said that this was something that you weren't expecting, and you weren't very well prepared for it in terms of this was the first entrance exam, Indian postgraduate entrance exam that you had written. Getting a rank four, was what was your reaction and how was your family reacting to it?
I still cannot process it. Matlab, it's just too much, too overwhelming, and you get calls every time, and it's just too overwhelming, right? So I just switched off my phone and took my time to digest it. I got this thing right, rechecked it. I was I was waiting for like AIMS exam department will call like आप 2-0 miss हो गई थी आपके rank से. Something like that. I was waiting. Yeah, this is not true, right?
So you're waiting for that call कि सर आपसे एक बड़ा प्रैंक हो गया है, ये इसमें ना
हाँ,
2 और 0 आने वाला।
I was waiting for that thing. So yeah,
ऐसा
it's a
कुछ
pretty
प्रैंक
good
नहीं हुआ,
experience.
you really deserve this. It's your immense hard work that you've been putting in to get such an amazing rank. Now, as a senior, that a lot of juniors will now look up to you for guidance and inspiration. I want you to share one good thing and one bad thing that you have done in your preparation that would give this result to your juniors. So one good thing and one bad, matlab, not so good thing that you could have avoided in your preparation.
So the good thing that I did there, because thing was that I started my internship in February. Till January, I was doing with my pros. So I didn't have that lot of time, right? So for example, something like, for example, take the like anterior division of internal ileal artery, right? Everyone is remembering like 7-8 branches, some crazy mnemonics are there, right? Posterior के बस 3 होता है, right? So
Uh,
I remember those three, and which is not posterior is anterior. So that I used to do like something like that.
Amazing. So you would memorize the things that were small and then, rule
Yeah.
out everything else. Right.
For
Awesome.
example, like
Awesome.
there are 15 uses or something. I just see कि यार logically you can do कि हाँ ये logic से कर लूंगा, and which logic cannot like the common medical sense. So if you cannot use that thing, so those 15 options turn down to 4. So you can remember the 4.
Awesome. All right. So basically, essentially, this is what I say: minimize what you memorize. Right. So you've minimized
Yeah,
what you needed to memorize for an exam, and everything else you left to common sense and ruling out on the exam.
yeah,
Lucky. Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
And what is one thing that you would request or urge your juniors to avoid when preparing for an exam of such high stakes?
Avoid procrastination is something which is very difficult to avoid. But yeah, that's the thing, right?
See, we
And
are all
like for
professional
example,
procrastinators. That is not something we can avoid. But yeah, we can overcome
like
that. But specifically in
like
terms
for
of
example,
preparation.
you get a thought, right? You get like you are just suddenly you're outside doing something, and you get like RHD padna tha. Right, this is something like that. So, उस point में just take out your phone, see the जो set here and just do it.
Yeah, so don't
Like,
postpone that assignment, or don't postpone that reading, right? You get a feeling that you need to read this right now, immediately grab it and read it, because you might not come back to reading it again, right? That's what you're
and
trying to
you
say,
never come back. You can never come back to that thing.
right?
That I learned the
So
very bad way, but yeah.
right. So any one person in your family, social circle, friends or seniors that you look up to and who has, had an immense impact on your journey?
I think I can name two persons. Uh, Aishwarya Gupta and Ayush Jain. Aishwarya scored 28 and Ayush Jain scored 35 in this entrance exams, and we three used to study together. Like for example, like Ayush Jain was the main thing for me. Like Ayush Jain gave me, यार ये note पढ़ ले और मैं पढ़ लिया. That's it. Like he was my main source. For example, कि यार ये कर लिया. Like for that.
Okay, so it's amazing to having a bunch of friends who pursue the same target and goals, and to find camaraderie rather than competition amongst them. That's lovely, and you're blessed to have such friends in your journey. So, thank you for joining in, Dr. Akshat. It was so nice talking to you. But before I leave you, I just want to ask you, which specialty are you pursuing or planning to pursue?
Right now, my lot of options are open, so I didn't know कि इतना मिल जाएगा, but right. So I'm thinking right now, everything is open.
Right, right. So, I wish you all the best, and thank you for sharing your
Thank
strategy
you.
with your juniors. Take care. Bye bye.